All right, I'm going to talk about the proof that weight loss diets don't work. It's important to get this through our heads because as long as we're trying to put together what doesn't work, weight loss diets, with what does work, simply wise eating, we're on two different paths. We're not moving forward in any kind of effective or efficient way, right? So I want to give you some proofs that weight loss diets don't work because I grew up believing in weight loss diets. When I finally got into the research, I still believed we have to eat less. That's what I was always told. It's what doctors say. It's what we were taught our whole lives. But let's look at a couple of pieces of evidence that weight loss diets don't work. I like looking at The Biggest Loser TV show as an example. A lot of us watched that program. I think people could win $100,000 if they were the biggest loser, if they lost the most weight. And they had all this support set up and they guided people to really eat less, to eat a low calorie diet, and to exercise more. So the idea was we're going to force our body to burn more calories, we're going to force our body to receive less calories, and it's going to lose weight. And if you watch the show, it looks like it works, right? Now they're also getting coaching, they've got financial incentives, they've got a whole lot of support. But here's the really discouraging thing. Even though a lot of those people lost a lot of weight, when we follow up with those people, almost none of them kept the weight off. They just didn't, no matter how motivated they were, no matter, like, here I am, I went from 250 pounds to 150 pounds, I feel great, I look great, I'm so excited. Almost all of them gained the weight back, and their metabolism was very compromised. So they really couldn't lose weight anymore. So sad and frustrating. And that was just a really bright light example of something most of us have been through at this point. Another example, if you look at Americans on a beach in the 1970s, you will see that most people in the United States were not overweight or obese in the 1970s. That's when I was a child. Most of us were not overweight. Now most of us are overweight. More than 80% of us are overweight or obese. By 2030, it's expected that more than 50% of us will have crossed the threshold for a BMI that qualifies us as obese. And so we know that as we start to get into that level of excess weight, it tends to be compromising our health. And I don't know that it goes that direction. I suspect it goes, we're eating the wrong things in the wrong quantities, and we end up with overweight or obesity and type 2 diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, dementia, cancer. Now, most of us are developing these chronic metabolic conditions that leave us really sick and in decline the last 10 years of our lives. So most of us now cannot expect to live well our last 10 years. We can expect to have one or more of these metabolic conditions. So I think the weight gain is really just an indication of metabolic decline and metabolic illness. It might not matter even that much if we feel like we look great on a beach, right? But it matters that we feel like I'm headed for metabolic illness, right? For decline. Now, I want to share one more kind of proof. So more and more Americans are dieting, and yet our weight keeps going up and up and up. It doesn't look like it's working. Now, here's a really big study that really showed us how problematic dieting is. So UCLA researchers wanted to look at how often does weight loss stick. So when people go on a diet and lose weight, how often does it stay off? The Biggest Loser study suggests it's not going to be good. And in fact, the UCLA researchers concluded more than 95% of people who lose weight gain it back within 2 to 5 years. To me, this says anybody who's telling you, I got a great diet, you got to do this diet I'm doing because I've lost 25 pounds. No, tell me how you're doing 2 or 3 years from now if the weight that you lose is still off. Now, you don't want to say that to people you love. It's going to make them feel bad, right? But I want you to be noticing when people lose weight, they don't tend to keep it off. Dieting is not this harmless situation. I'll just do it when I feel up to it, etc. It's something that backfires as far as our long-term health and weight. You know, we've never had more diet books, more articles and tips and supplements and medications, and yet we've never been heavier. This is not a lack of discipline on the part of everyone in society. It's a failed method. And so if dieting hasn't been working for you to get lasting results, I want you to understand why. So that's what we're going to talk about next. Why is it actually making things worse? All right, I'll see you in there.